Greetings and salutations of peace. You are now in tune on the one, the force itself. At this time we call it the Mastery Blaster jamming. I am your brother, the Rastafari, Ital, Iman, here at Underground News Network Studios, Santa Rosa, California. I am here speaking with a man that's 53 years old. For the first time in 53 years, he took a flight from Fiji to come here to Northern California. Brother Buli is a Fijian musician of some fame. Brother, tell us a little bit about yourself and why did you fly out here to Santa Rosa, California from Fiji?
Okay, in 1984, back in Fiji, I have been going around playing music. I'm a recording artist and an entertainer in Fiji, so I do concerts around the country. But at one point of time, I met Lagilagi, this guy from Oregon, and he had some problems, but it was over and he came and stayed home, so I showed Fijian hospitality to him, a couple of Fijian music. He liked it, and he said this could be a fusion with his cultural music from where he originally comes from, and Fiji, and we could make a joint venture where we could join the Fiji and America and all these cultural music and fusions. We can put it down on one album where I think I can fit in nicely, and as I do cultural activities and I produce them to be showcased to tourists back home. That's my job, and I do it for 5-star resorts. I program music from warriors running fires on the beach, and with the warrior clubs, and lalis beating, which is our Fijian drums, and that sends message everywhere. And then I set up entertainment programs like bands, hula dances, meke, which is our dance, cultural dance in Fiji. So, and I'm a musician also.
Yes, sir.
I got 9 albums.
So it was like how many years ago you met Lagilagi there in Fiji?
Now it's about 24 years.
About 24 years.
Yeah.
So here now, 24 years later, you're...
24 years later, he invited me over now.
Oh,
Come
now.
and record an album here.
So you're going to record an album here now?
I'm going to record an album.
Okay. So do you have any idea what you're going to call the album?
Well, right now we're still making up names, and one name that is familiar with Lagilagi when he came over to stay in Fiji is when you say Langilangi.
Langilangi.
Langilangi is a very familiar word in Fiji when you try and uplift or you try and applaud a person or lift him up.
Yes, sir.
When he does something good, and then you just lift him up like praising him and say Langilangi.
Langilangi. Yes, sir.
That's what Lagilagi thinks could fit in this album, because that's what he picked from Fiji. And it's a great name, it's very heavenly, because you uplift somebody's soul,
yes,
you lift it up, so Langilangi could fit in well, I think so.
So, Mary had a little lamb, his fleece was white as snow. Buli. The culture in Fiji is a sort of laid back place, you say?
Yeah.
Laid back.
Very laid back.
Slow, like going back in time.
Yeah, it's a culture.
Culture.
We work in a community, so everything is small. You work for only 1 hour because there's a lot of people doing those jobs, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So in a community we stay. That's why we can enjoy more time than working more time. Because when you are working alone, you have to work the whole day. Okay? In a community like us, no. We work only 1-2 hours, 100 of us. We clear out the big land and plant crops, and that's food for about 6 months for a person. So we move on to the next one, an hour a day, and the other one. Then we relax and enjoy. Relax and enjoy.
So there's a ritual that you, as a community part, take in to aid in the slowing down, the relaxation, and the meditation. Or what's that called? It's an herb or powder.
A kava.
Kava.
It's yangona. It's called yangona.
and Gona?
Well, 500 years ago it was introduced to the South Pacific.
500 years ago.
Yeah, 500 years ago. Maybe it was brought by traders, or they said from South Africa.
South Africa. So what is the, so could you explain it to us?
So this one here you have to grow for 7 years.
You got to grow for 7 years.
7 years to mature.
Uh-huh.
And then you uproot them. The roots is the strongest part of the cover.
The roots.
Yes, the stem is for woman because it's a little bit weaker.
Uh-huh.
So after you clean them up, you pound them, dry them in the sun and pound them into this form of powder, so you can mix with a piece of cloth, or you got barks of trees where you prepare back home. And using coconut cups, you drink from them with a little bit water to make it strong, and a lot of water to make it maybe for tourists. But we sit down for more than from 4 hours to sometimes 18 hours.
To drinking this.
Just drinking and telling stories, every different kind of stories, and we have time for that back home.
So this is a psychoactive type plant?
It's a socializing part of our cultural side.
Okay.
We don't go to bars. We don't go dancing in a discotheque.
Yeah.
We don't go and drink beer and everywhere. This is the only mix, a cover mix that we make in a special bowl, and we gather around and drink and tell stories or play music, learn cultural dancing, weaving and everything around it.
And it slows you down.
It slows you down. So it quietens you. If we're having a meeting, we give the bigger cups to the boys, to the men, and the chief smaller cups, so that only the chief can talk.
Okay.
The rest of you are numbed. It makes all your 7 senses asleep. So sometimes when you try and stand up, you fall down, going left is right, forward is backwards. And when you start eating, you pick the food, you start with your forehead, and then you squeeze it down to your mouth.
Yes.
And so that is kava.
Kava.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yes, a beautiful
Yeah.
thing. You're right.
It's a beautiful thing.
Peace and salutations, Brother Buli. I've been a vegetarian for like 33 years now. Are you a vegetarian?
I'm not a vegetarian. I like vegetarian.
You like vegetarian?
Yes, but at times I'd love to eat we at home, we eat
Plenty of meat.
Foods, yeah. Not a lot of meat, but a lot of fish.
Fish.
Chicken, poultries. We make our own cheese from home, and we eat a lot. Fruit crops, vegetables, coconut creams.
So in the history of Fiji, about 100 years ago, there was still cannibalism.
187 years ago.
87
The
years.
last man to be eaten in Fiji was just 80-something kilometers in the hills from my house, from my village.
From your village.
And that was Reverend Thomas Baker.
Reverend Thomas Baker was the last person eaten.
Yes.
In Fiji.
And that is what made the big change, because the chief that the warriors, because you're not allowed to touch anybody's head in Fiji.
Okay.
So he jokingly, because he knew the chief himself, personally met them in the jungle and invited him to come and bring him the word of God. So, but informally, he touched the king's head jokingly and pulled up a comb.
And so
the warriors outside, without insulting the king, they smacked him, because that's not allowed in the culture. So they cooked him and bring it back to the chief. Chief knew that it was Reverend Thomas Baker, didn't eat. He washed his hand and said, send the message that everybody should come. We should change from cannibalism to Christianity.
Okay, God Almighty.
So because nobody likes to eat people, but it was a culture.
Yes, sir.
It was a religion for you. When somebody loses in a war, you have to show that you are a strong chief, that
yes.
you're great, that they should be afraid of you. Take the spirit away from them by bringing them in and clubbing their skulls and putting them on an earth oven, and the chief eats the heads first. So that is a culture. But when it stopped, it turned to be a smiling country, because we stopped cannibalism. We couldn't eat anymore.
Yes, sir.
Because it just was a culture, and we have to follow it.
Yes.
Because in Fiji, when the chief says something, jump in the cliff, you have to jump. You have to follow the rituals and the cultural activities. So now it's no more. We are Christian country now.
Yes, sir.
Smiling people of the world.
Give thanks. Smiling people of the world.
Fiji, yes.
Let's hear some of that smiling music there, brother.
Oh, it's beautiful back home. You come back home, you say, Bula!
Bula!
Yes.
Let's hear some of that music there, my brother.
Okay. kiriki talenga. Laura boera alonga. This is a Bula song.
Bula song.
Yes. Osana wai pakala salasa. Nimbula kelesara.
Yes.
Bula is a big word back home.
Bula. So, what does Bula mean? Coming up?
Bula is good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever.
Bula.
How are you? And it's everything for Fiji.
Yes, sir.
Men on the tuna Langilangi. Menda salimbi limbi takayani. Yada inandi buana renandi. Bula malea kiriti talega.
Bula. Yes, sir. Bula.
Bula.
Yes, sir. Give thanks. Give thanks.